You don't need to study for hours a day to make fast progress in language learning. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly why. So first of all, for some context about me, I've learned both French and Spanish to a pretty high level. And the routine that I've used to learn them only takes about 30 minutes each day. And you might be like, oh, then you must have progressed really slowly. That really isn't true. I was still able to make quite fast progress with this 30-minute a day learning routine. And the reason why is because the most important thing in language learning is not the amount of time you learn for, but the quality of the time you spend learning. It's what you do during the time that you do have. There's a common principle called the 80-20 principle, and it states that 80% of your results come from 20% of your actions. And I apply this to my language learning. With the little time that I do have, I do the things that will take me the furthest in my learning. If you think about it, it makes sense. Let's say I have an hour a day. One way I could spend that hour is, for example, watching an interview that I understand like nothing of that's way too hard for me. Or I could spend that hour watching comprehensible input for the first part and then reviewing useful sentences I've learned in my spaced repetition system. Same amount of time, completely different actions, and completely different results. So now the natural question is, what do you actually do during the time that you have to ensure that you're making the fastest progress you can? And for me, there are 3 basic groups of activities you can do that take up that 20% of actions that get you the 80% of results. And these are input, output, and retention. So no matter what your routine is, it should include these 3 elements in it. Input being consuming the language, output being producing the language, and then retention being having some way to remember the words that you learn. Even if you only have 20 minutes a day to learn, you can still make very solid progress if you make sure your routine includes input, output, and retention. Even 10 minutes of input, 5 minutes of retention, and 5 minutes of output. So what I want you to take away from this is the most important thing in your language learning is making the most of the time you do have instead of worrying about the time you don't have. Do the things that will move you forward the most during the time you have to learn, which would be input, output, and retention, and you will make progress. And if you want help implementing this concept into your learning, there's a link in the description to join my community. I'd love to have you there, and you'll learn all about how to use this concept to start making real progress in your language learning.